Hey guys, contrary to popular belief, taking days off is actually not a bad thing at all. Of course, if you do it too much, you're going to miss out on a lot of improvement. But I think very soon before competitions, I think it's a fantastic thing to do. It's a great move, a very wise move, because it's going to help you relax from thoughts of the competition, and you're gonna keep your mind fresh, and you're also going to keep your body fresh. So a lot of coaches, especially in less professional countries like Australia in table tennis, especially lesser professional countries where the coaches aren't necessarily elite players themselves. Back before, you're going to have them saying, well, why aren't you training longer? I want you to train 2.5 hours, and the competition could be tomorrow or something like that. So they don't understand, and I don't expect them to. So they're not in your body. They also don't understand sport that well, and that's okay, but at the same time, they need to understand that the way, players have their own likes and dislikes and things that they prefer, and what is generally accepted to work for peak performance, so you can have the best chance of performing at your absolute best on a competition day or days, is when you work very hard. You always should work hard. You always should train intensely, but then weeks before, when there's a long time and there is time to recover, you can afford to go and train 2-hour sessions, 3-hour sessions or more, because you're going to have time to recover. But the week before the competition, you should be reducing your sessions to like an hour and a half, and then eventually, so me personally, I like to reduce it to an hour and a half, a week and a half before the competition, and then couple of days before, I'm practicing for 30 to 40 minutes. So that's for me enough. That's when I find my mind to be the most fresh and body to be the most fresh, that I can go out there and have the best chance of playing my best. So for me, I find that having a tired mind and a tired body is the worst thing you want before coming into a competition, because then you find it difficult to focus, difficult to think, difficult to fight. When your body's tired, it's not as bad as your mind being tired, because then you can get angry really easy, and you can't afford to have that in matches that you're trying to control the game. And if you can't control your emotions, then you definitely can't control the game. So I think it's very important for people to understand that everyone is different, but most athletes would like to tone it down and keep themselves fresh right before the week before competitions. And this is quite a common issue around the world, that many coaches will get them to say, that don't understand. They will say they won't understand why you want to stop at an hour or an hour and a half or 45 minutes. And for me, that as an athlete, that it gets quite tiring, because you have to explain yourself all the time, and it baffles me in a way. So moving on from that, I do think it's like a school exam. It's very much like a school exam. If you have an end of year exam, ideally you should be studying. You should be studying from the start of the year until consistently, and then close to the exam you can ease off and do a few practice exams, get a good sleep, keep your mind and body fresh, and then you're probably going to kill the exam. Whereas if you don't study all year, and then you decide to start studying those 1 or 2 weeks before the exam, you're stuck in no choice but to cram in 5 or 6 many hours a day. So a similar thing in sport. If you got a big competition and then you don't train all year, which is quite a common thing amongst non-professional countries, then the players and the parents decide for their children to go and train like 6 hours a day every day, 1 or 2 weeks before the competition. So they've sort of got no choice, because they need to shape up before the competition. But what you're actually doing is you're not improving consistently in that 6 or 7 months or less or more before the competition, and then the 2 weeks before, you're tiring yourself out. You come into the competition so tired, and that's generally why those people don't perform well. So again, everyone's different. I'm talking more for elite level athletes in sport. And I think if someone's working full time, or sport is something you do once or twice a week, it's a different story. Then you can afford not to have to taper, because you don't train much anyway. So you'll probably have to manage your training schedule in a different way. And again, different things work for different people. So This is what works for me, to train a lot well before the tournament and hard, and then obviously keep the same intensity, because intensity always has to be high for you to get the most out of your training. So if you feel your intensity starting to drop off, no matter when, that's when you should stop training. What's the point of training like crap when you're tired, when you're not moving? All you're doing is practicing the wrong movements, and eventually you're going to get used to those movements, and getting worse is a real thing. So you will probably get worse. People think that if you practice, you're definitely improving. That's not the case. So many players, even professional players, will train in a place or with coaches that are not good for them, and they'll actually get worse. So having a coach or having more practice, that doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to improve. That gives you an opportunity to improve. And if you train right, then you will improve. But getting worse is real. It's a real thing. So again, I think intensity should always be at the absolute highest. If you feel it dropping off, you need to stop. So, well before tournaments, you can afford to go and train for long hours, because your body and mind can recover, and you haven't got competitions coming up. But then obviously as the competitions come up, I reduce my session times to an hour and a half to 45 minutes. And even days before a competition, I play tennis. I play tennis 2 days before the competition. I wouldn't say that everyone else does that, but that works for me. That takes my mind off it, lets me play another sport. I stay active whilst taking a day off from my usual sport, taking my mind off that. And then, the next day I'll bash the ball around for 30 minutes and then come into the competition. And that's when I find I have my most consistently good results. So it is quite generally accepted. Tapering is generally scientifically proven to give athletes the best chance of performing at their peak. So if you're a coach around the world that's locally coaching some players, think again. I would just say think again before you force them to train 2 hours that day when they don't feel like it. So end of the day, it is about the players, and that's what competitions and training should be based around. It's not about the coaches. So, if a player's feeling tired, they're voicing out that they want to stop, they want to do 45 minutes, an hour or whatever, and that's enough. The worst thing you can do is make them keep going. So that's my opinion. Not everyone's going to agree, and that's fine, but I stand by my opinion very strongly, and I'm more than happy to put it out there. So thanks again for watching my videos, and I hope that people around the world are getting something out of this. Hey guys, sorry, so I forgot to say, I just wanted to say that there's often a misunderstanding between coaches and players, and the best coach-player partnerships have happened when the communication has been really good. So if there's no communication, there's no way that a coach can understand a player, because he or she is not living it themselves. And there are often, I'm sure, coaches and parents, they're all humans just like us, so they're going to make mistakes. They're going to make good decisions and everything. Perfect's just not, contrary to popular belief, they're not perfect. No one's perfect. Nothing is perfect. So I do think often, when a player is feeling tired and then a coach keeps pushing them to go, they don't understand. There's some coaches that, really do badly in this area. They don't understand that, and they just keep saying, you should be fitter, you should be, but how can you understand if you're not the player? For sure you don't understand. So I think for the coaches to do their jobs as well as possible and service the players, because that's what it's supposed to be about, I think they need to, obviously have a line that players can't cross, but they need to be there for the players and support the decisions when they want to take care of the body, and generally with how taking rests. I think it should be up to the players. To top it off, I'm gonna put this simply. So if I can train for half an hour or an hour, whatever, any time, the time doesn't matter, but a shorter time, but I'm going to make sure that hour or 45 minutes is really high intensity. I'm playing it like it's a match. I'm fighting for my life. And then I'm going to have 2 hours or 3 hours that's half, that's good for 15 minutes, sloppy for another, and then not moving my feet. 100%, without thinking twice at all, I would take the shorter time, higher intensity. That is a million times better, because you're actually improving. You're actually doing a good 45 minutes rather than a crap 2 hours where you're actually probably getting worse. So I think for coaches, they should definitely look at it in a big picture and think that, look, if he's gonna train for an hour and he's tired, why make him or her keep going when they're just gonna train like crap and they're just gonna get worse? Well, what am I doing? What am I doing for their game other than making myself happy that they're listening to me, or they're doing what I asked?